Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Backroad. My name is Ethan Levesque, better known online as the Mainah Man. Using the ideas and principles that have guided my own career and life goals through business, marketing, and creativity, I'm here to discuss the strategies that help build strong relationships with your audience, no matter the platform. Coming up on the Backroad, I talk about the time I broke into a haunted house. I discuss how to work with your friends, and I talk about chasing money. Literally chasing. Like with your feet. All of that and more, just around the corner. Welcome to episode 25. Today's theme is camaraderie, or perhaps cooperative partnership would be a better name for it. Either way, we're talking about what it's like to move forward as a team when everything seems to be pulling you back. But before we get into all of that, at this juncture, I'd like to talk about friendship. The definition, right? So grab your macaroni because we're about to get cheesy. When I think about friends, especially the kind of friends I want in my corner, two phrases come to mind. I want a friend who shows up. Plain and simple. If I tell you I need your help, I best expect you in the trenches with me. It's Batman and Robin. If they shine the bat symbol, it's you and me, pal. It's Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner. If I can't tell you what it is, you can't ask me about it later and we're going to hurt some people. I need you asking whose car we're taking. And secondly, I want a friend who would take the shirt off their back for the guy next to him. Doesn't matter if it's Billy from up the block, a homeless man in the alley, or a puppy from the clinic. Empathy is a requirement. If you can't look at a person and understand the humanity in their flaws, then you're not someone I'll be seeking advice from. Bing, bang, boom. I bring this up because those people are hard to come by these days. My acquaintance to friend ratio is quite low. Low. In fact, it's so low that for every 100 acquaintances I've met in my life, I've walked away with probably less than one friend back. When I look at all the thousands of relationships and interactions I've had in my lifetime, only a dozen of whom I'd actually consider to be a good pal. And I hear a bunch of people in the comments section playing devil's advocate saying, you're judging people too much. And sure, yeah, I love to judge, I'll give it to you. I could spend an entire day on a bench binge watching the people of Walmart. But when it comes to personality, I don't typically judge negatively. I tend to have a positive outlook on life, and therefore I have a positive outlook on people. Out of those thousands of people that I've met, I'd consider a majority of them good people. But friend-worthy? Better luck next lifetime. A friend is someone who vibes with you, who matches you, who understands you. A friend is someone who sees you, who empathizes with you, who admires you. A friend is someone who isn't afraid to tell you what's on their mind, even if it's in direct disagreement with you, because their respect for you is so large that they'd rather be candid and hurt your feelings than watch you suffer. As friends, we have a say in each other's lives because we have an invested stake in each other's well-being. At some point, friends have the opportunity to change your opinion, to change your reality, to change your future. I have a small circle of friends because there aren't many people I would trust with my life. If I'm not comfortable getting in the car with them, they're not my friend. If I'm not comfortable being honest, vulnerable, or even crying in front of them, then they're not my friend. If I'm not comfortable recommending them for a job, then they are not my friend. And these may be high expectations, but they are the expectations I hold for myself, and therefore they are the expectations I hold in the people I surround myself with. Because at the end of the day, I'm not willing to accept someone's advice when I'm not willing to accept their criticism. In my opinion, business should function very much on the same fundamentals. If someone isn't willing to help their coworkers, I don't want them. If someone isn't interested in growing or improving themselves as a person, then they would be a tumor in my organization, and I don't want them. If someone doesn't love what they are investing their time into, their success will be limited, and I don't want them. If someone can't be bothered to show up on time for the little things, I could never truly depend on them for the big things, and I don't want them. I only surround myself with people who have my best interests at heart because that is the best way to succeed. Doesn't matter if it's my personal life or my professional life. If you're feeling held back and you don't know why, it may be a good time to analyze your surroundings and root out the negative influences. After all, a garden can only flourish when weeds aren't around. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, shall we? Look, let's be honest with one another. Somewhere in your hometown, or home city, wherever you grew up, was a weird, run-down, abandoned place. Perhaps it's an old farmhouse that never sold and slowly fell apart. Perhaps it's an old apartment building that caught fire and was never demolished. Maybe even an old school building where the nuns used to smack your grandfather with rulers just for being left-handed. Regardless, when I describe an abandoned structure, one comes to your mind. And would I be lying if I said you'd always wondered what it would be like inside? Most of us will never know. Most of us don't have the balls to open the unlocked front door that has no Ring doorbell camera, walk into the house that has no security system, and snoop around until that nobody who's paying attention illogically decides to check in. I'm one of you. I didn't have the balls to break into the Ratter's house. I wanted to. Badly. So badly. Actually, I did try once, but a skunk ran out the back door, and I didn't feel like taking a tomato shower in the gas station parking lot. However, I did film a music video in upstate New York once with a few friends, one of whom lived nearby, who, like you, also knew an abandoned house he had always been curious about. What a coincidence. As it turns out, you're a lot more ballsy to check out a haunted house when no one in the area would know who you are if you were found out. Like, even if I did get caught, cuffed, and tossed into the clink, no nosy neighbors were going to see my name pop up on their Facebook feed. Made things a little easier. Either way, the road wasn't traveled, the parking lot was private, and I had nothing to lose. So we did it. The three of us stopped in on our way home. I don't really remember what the history of the house was, but I do remember being something like, old man and woman died in a small house fire, left everything to their distant kids, never came to claim the property. It's just there. As far as we knew, this property was owned by nobody. And it wasn't even desirable enough to auction off. It was just a garbage rundown property. So before entering, obviously, it made sense to do a little recon. We split up and walked the perimeter of the building to see what we could learn. The windows were high, but with a boost from my buddy, I was able to get just high enough to peer in through it. It was really dark, so I had to cup my eyes against the glass to see anything, at which point I saw a small wooden rocking horse, resting perfectly still. I looked down, explained what I'm seeing, then as I was about to jump down, I look back up and I see the thing is friggin' rocking. Could have been a mouse, could have been my mind, who knows? But it definitely set a precedent on how the rest of this was going to go. Then we opened up the back door. Door swung in and revealed that the entire dining room floor had fallen into the basement. Nothing but cement, toys, old newspaper clippings. But it was the only way through the building, and with no path to the next door, our trip was going to be cut short. Until my friend came in clutch with a 2x6 he found in the backyard. We laid it across the pit and took turns walking across the plank, and thus we entered the house. The living room, actually. The old shaggy, green rug that you used to have in the 70s. It was stained black everywhere, but not burnt black, oil black. Every step we took was squishy. And since we already knew that the floor could cave in, we were anxiously expecting it to just fall out from under us at any moment. There was more newspaper all over the floor. Most of the windows were cracked. All of the family frames were cracked. And then there was this weird TV corner. And I say TV corner because there were 12 TVs in it. Didn't make a lot of sense. And in the middle of the room were 2 reclining chairs and 30 ripped up Bibles. Tell me that's not weird. The kitchen was more of the same wallpaper and newspaper, except every single appliance was missing. Taking the fridge and the gas range stove, but leaving a dozen TVs is an interesting choice. The floor was red and white tile, like something you'd find at an old school diner. There was no food in the cupboards, no canned goods, no pickles, no spices, no salts, nothing like that. But there were so many dishes, 200 of the same plate in every cupboard. They either had the biggest family reunions ever, or they were the weirdest hoarders to exist. And this is around the time that we noticed that all the newspaper clippings were from the same day. All the newspapers were the same exact print. So they're either a bunch of misprints or somebody just really cared about what was happening that day. But we read through it to try to figure out and solve the mystery. Nothing of significance happened. No 9/11, no school play where a grandkid could have been in. So unless it was an obituary section or just some business that they were affiliated with, I have no clue what that's about. That's strange. Can confirm that is strange. To go upstairs meant that we had to go up this weirdly steep and narrow staircase, a 10-to-2 rise to run. It was super weird. And for some reason, all three of us decided to go together. We awkwardly ascended, and then my dumb self got curious what was behind some wallpaper, so I tore a chunk off, only to find 100 flies behind it. I mean, 100. We freaked out, ran up the stairs, looked behind us, wondering what sort of demon spawn we just awoke. But the flies never moved. They just stayed in place, like shivering, just trying to survive the winter. We tore off a couple other pieces on the wallpaper upstairs, and it was just more of the same thing. Hundreds of flies frozen to the wall. It was a hibernation heaven for insects. We didn't find much upstairs. Weirdly, this was the most empty area of the house. No beds, no furniture. All the carpet was ripped down to the hardwood floor. Nice hardwood floor. I remember that. No like damage yet. There were lamps, no light bulbs. Closet didn't have much in it except for a couple like suits, like dress coats, pants, ties, hung, no wrinkles, great condition, minus the mothball smell. And since this was the last part of the house tour, we commemorated it by each grabbing one of those suits before we left and wearing it to work the next day. It's gross. It's Formal Friday. In conclusion, I broke the law. Nobody was hurt. Nobody cared. Nobody will ever feel the effects of our wrongdoings. I'm just thankful the spirits were kind enough to entertain us. But it was fun, and it was new. And to be completely honest, after the aggressive shoot and travel schedule we had been under, it was a refreshing change of pace. 3 friends bonded with one another in a way we'll never forget or experience with anyone ever again. 3 friends in the trenches, sticking it out, together, professionally and personally. And there is no one I would have rather been on that adventure with than those 2. That's why this week's Earful is all about what it means to work with your friends and how to do it. Working with your friends isn't always a good idea. For the same reason, it's not always a good idea to live with your friends. You're gonna disagree with one another. You're going to get on each other's nerves. You're going to let each other down sometimes. Other times, you're going to communicate like you're telekinetic. You're going to build like you're Lego champions. You're going to have fun and laugh and joke around like there's nothing at stake and the company's not on fire. But all of these things are options on the table, and if you're going to work with each other, you need to be prepared for every high and low on that roller coaster. I've had the privilege to work with a friend. I've had the privilege to work with lots of friends, actually. I founded my production company with my best friend in college. I've partnered my friends' companies to produce awesome collaborations. I've hired my friends to film, edit, and write with me. I feel grateful every day for those opportunities. But there are definitely days where I feel regret. It may be fun to work and learn and grind with your friends, but it isn't fun to fire them. It isn't fun to have to stop supporting them. It isn't fun to struggle because of their mistakes. In my career, I've had my best friends go from partner to complete stranger. I've had good friends go from contractor to competitor. I've had loyal friends go from recommended vendor to industry blacklist. There is nothing easy about working with the people you care about. In an ideal world, we'd be in our garage building the next computer operating system with our most sincere confidants. And instead, most of us are home in our office alone, wishing we had someone to share our vision with. We're trying to build the next Apple all by ourselves. At least that's been my experience. But just because I'm the only one who holds the keys to my vision doesn't mean I can't work with my friends. In order to work with my friends, I had to learn what was feasible and what was far-fetched. In order to stay friends with the people I work with, I had to learn to respect dynamics, set expectations, communicate appropriately, and navigate conflict. I had to grow, not only for the sake of the friendship, but for the sake of the company, of the product, of the client, of the industry. If you're in a place where you're trying to work with your friends, I'd strongly encourage you to reconsider. If there is any part of you that is on the fence about working together, then you shouldn't be making that decision until you have an honest conversation with that person about why. It's hard to nurture emotions and feelings with people you care about when the complications of cash, credit, and commands are at play. But if you personally feel like you have what it takes to work with someone you care about, here are 5 recommendations for how to proceed. First, set your expectations. Before any money or contracts exchange hands, have an initial meeting to talk about your individual styles, your needs, and your desires. Starting with this conversation will help you prepare for the learning curve that comes with working with one another. Plus, expectation setting isn't just something that you should do once. It's something you should be doing frequently, monthly, weekly, daily if necessary. These meetings will help you stay ahead of every problem that comes your way. Second, always communicate with candor, honesty, and respect. Not all conversations are going to be fun. In fact, Most conversations are either routine monotony or exhausting conflict. Whenever faced with a conversation, no matter how hard, you owe it to yourselves to be fully open. There is no room for pointing fingers. There is no room for hurtful language. There is no room for ignorance. There is no room for anger. There is no room for guilt or shame or fear. There can only be the bottom line, the work. Being upfront and real and honorable at every step is what will relieve that pressure that builds resentment. Third, prioritize your intentions. The ego does not belong in your decision-making or anywhere else in the workplace. That means you can never let your friendship get in the way of the work, in a good way or a bad way. Sure, your friendship may be thriving as you discuss the latest episode of Love is Blind, but you still need to keep the chit-chat to a minimum because customers are ordering and you need to make their sandwiches, or vice versa. Your friendship may be in a bit of an awkward phase because one of you forgot their wallet at lunch, but you can't be passively, aggressively insulting each other in the annual meeting because there are things to talk about more important than your petty grievances. You need to be able to end every single day knowing that what you did was best for the brand, for the work, and for the people you work with, and for the people around you. Number 4, set boundaries. Boundaries are the key to any relationship. Everyone walks a different path of life with different perspectives, prerogatives, and opinions. If you don't want to create friction, learning to set boundaries without emotions attached is the easiest way to keep the ship sailing smoothly. Here are the rules and boundaries that I practice to protect my relationships. I never ever work via text, Facebook, or Messenger app. If it's work-related, I keep it in a work chain like emails, Slack, and internal management systems. I include my office hours in my email signature and set my out-of-office notifications in every email every time I'm away, whether it's for a weekend, vacation, or mental health day. Additionally, I'm not afraid to stand up for my boundaries when they aren't being considered, and I'm not afraid to repeat myself if someone's pressing my limits. Keeping work life separate from personal life is required for the purpose of sanity. And lastly, do your best and prepare for the worst. While working with your friends may create a strong team dynamic, it can also easily deter from your well-being. Friendships are difficult enough to manage with the stresses of life, and adding the weight of work on top of it may just be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Not all friends are made the same, and not all friends share the same work ethic, value system, and communication skills as each other. Not all friends are capable of working together. So if you're signing up to work with your pal, remember, there's a chance you're signing up to suffer. So do your best to do your part and show as much support as you can. But if for some reason things aren't working out, don't beat yourself up, because some things are out of your control. In my experience, working with friends has been an incredibly fruitful experience, as well as an incredibly frustrating one. Working with friends has injured my work and my psyche, but it's also helped me and healed me. And through all the gains and losses, the makes and breaks, the highs and the lows, working with friends has been the best part of my career. The positive experiences I've had strongly outweigh the negative. But it only works if both of you are capable of it. So team up wisely. Well, we're almost out of the woods, but we're not there yet. Let's take a detour. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a man overflowing with opinions and I've got to let them fly. So kick back because Uncle Ethan's about to rant. You can tell a lot about a person by how far they'd be willing to chase a $20 bill that the wind blew out of their pocket. I mean, once upon a time, I accidentally left 82 cents at a gas station and never went back for it. But for a $20 bill, I'd have spent $20 worth of gas to get it back. Why? Because I value a $20 bill more than someone thinking I'm stupid enough to leave it behind. And because I know what it feels like to not have $20 when you need it. Only people who don't understand the value of money aren't willing to work harder for it. I once went on a few dates with a girl who made over $1,500 as a server at a rich people restaurant who literally ended things with me because I ordered my steak medium well. She said I embarrassed her. You think she would have chased a $20 bill that blew out of her hand? No, sir. You think she would have helped me chase a $20 bill that fell out of my hand? I bet you a 2-mile jog she wouldn't have. I once knew a guy who would throw his change in the garbage rather than keep it to spend, collect, or donate. Someone who didn't recycle exclusively because he, and I'm quoting here, doesn't believe in nickels. You think he would have helped me chase a 20? No. I once knew a man that overpaid his employees by thousands and thousands of dollars just so he could be mean to them and they wouldn't quit. A man who took advantage of students with budding careers just to fuel his own narcissism. A man who told me to my face, I don't know who you are and I don't care to find out, the very first time I met him. I don't think he would have helped anybody chase a $20 bill up his driveway. But you know who would? my friends. In fact, most of my neighborhood would help. In fact, most of my state would help because they understand the value of money, hard work, loyalty, kindness, generosity, and humility. So if by chance you are in a place where you're reevaluating your inner circle, ask yourself, how far would they go for $20? Thanks for listening. Well, the end of our journey has come, but don't worry, there's plenty more to learn and consume. Remember, there are 24 episodes of The Backroad before this, so if you haven't explored the catalog yet, there's more for you out there. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Mainah Man on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Be sure to catch The Backroad live on YouTube every Tuesday at 5 p.m. or catch the edited release Wednesdays wherever podcasts are found. Thanks for walking The Backroad with me. I've been Ethan Levesque, here to help you accomplish your business, marketing, and production goals. And remind you that you can get there from here.